Okay. There's an interesting and evocative passage in this week's Torah portion, Toldot. It tells of how the wells that Abraham, Isaac's father, dug have been closed up. And Isaac tries to go and redig the wells that Abraham had initially dug. However, when he tries to do so, he does this 2 times, and both times he faces conflict with other people around him. He's able to dig then a new well of his own, and there's no more conflict present. If we look at this from a more metaphorical lens, I think there's a lot we can learn. It can be helpful if we look at this metaphorically as well. The times that we go and we try to do things that other people have done, we can often find conflict within ourselves or with others. It's only when we're able to go out and do things our own way that we can find some kind of peace. This is seen in the names of the wells too. The names of the wells that Abraham dug, that Isaac redigs, are Sitnah and Esek, hostility and contention. When we get stuck trying to do things someone else's way, it can just lead to negativity. But when we do things our own way, we can get to what the third well discusses, rechovot, width, openness, a new way of doing things. It's also important to note that sometimes we need to have the experience of trying and failing at something before we can actually get it right. We need to try doing things the way other people have done them, learn from that experience, and then move forward and do things our own way. The process of learning can sometimes be painful, but also then enable us to grow, help us find our own way of doing things. It's also symbolic in terms of the well itself. One of the ways that Torah is referred to in Judaism is as Mayim Chayim, living water. Isaac tries and initially fails at finding that living water for himself, but when he's able to go out and do things his own way, that's when he's able to really get in touch with that Mayim Chayim for him, that living water, that spirituality, that spiritual connection. This is reinforced by the fact that only after Isaac is able to do this does God appear to him for the first time. God doesn't appear to him specifically after he's bound by Abraham. He doesn't appear to him when he's about to get married. He doesn't appear to him on the birth of his children. It's only when he's able to go and dig his own well, literally or metaphorically, that he's able to have that spiritual connection. So what I'd like to encourage all of us to think about are what are the ways in which we get stuck digging other people's wells, digging wells that have been dug before. I talked about this at Torah study at Beit Tshuva this morning, and I asked the residents, what are the ways in which you've given up old behaviors and are starting to do new ones? And of course, the answer from a lot of people was drinking, using drugs, gambling. And obviously, when it comes to behaviors, there are behaviors that all of us need to give up in order to live our lives differently, living our lives with some kind of spiritual connection. But it's not just about easy to spot external behaviors. There are also the emotional patterns, the patterns of relationship that we get stuck in trying to do someone else's way, ways that we've tried before that just haven't worked for us. And we need to be able to spot those, move past them, and find a new way of living our lives. And so what I'd like to encourage all of us to do is to look at the ways that we get stuck and to find the courage, the strength, and the resources to really be able to dig our own wells, even and especially when we don't know what we might find, in the hope of finding a deeper spiritual connection, in the hope of finding that Mayim Chayim, that living water. Shabbat Shalom.